Mr. President, thank you very much for speaking to AnewZ. And as an international channel that broadcasts in English, I want to thank you particularly for agreeing to speak to us today in English for our viewers. I'd like to ask you about COP29. The whole world pretty much came to Baku. There were many tough negotiations. There were some noticeable absentees. The President of France, the President of the European Commission did not attend, but despite that, a deal was done. Can I ask for your reflections on the achievements of the event and also what needs to happen this year and beyond to keep that momentum?
Yes, COP29 was a big challenge for us and of course a big opportunity, and our task was to convert the challenge into success. Of course, we clearly realized that Azerbaijan, as not a biggest gas emission country, cannot play a decisive role in bringing the world together. But we thought that our experience in international institutions and diversified foreign policy will help us to build bridges. So as soon as we were awarded with COP29, December 23, we started to be deeply involved in the substance. Frankly speaking, before we were not very, actively involved in the process. And we've seen that one of the main impediments to achieve success is lack of trust between Global South and the Global North, between those countries which are the big polluters, if I could name them like that, and those countries who suffer from that. And we've seen the disbalance. Those countries which have existential threat with respect to climate change, their gas emission is beyond 0.1, but they are really under threat. So their life, their future, the whole existence of the countries, especially small island states, is under threat. So we started to use our homework preparation, being very active in the Global South, having great experience in chairing non-aligned movement for 4 years, with great success, with unanimous support from this institution, which reflected in unanimous decision to extend our chairmanship for 1 more year. At the same time, being actively involved in European politics, and with 10 members of European Union, Azerbaijan signed or adopted a strategic partnership declarations and agreements. So we decided that could work, and we started to work immediately. So we work on 2 tracks mainly, preparation and substance. On both, there have been a lot of rocks and bumps, but I think the final result demonstrates that it was a success story. Preparation was a big challenge because unlike previous COPs, we had not 2 years, but only 11 months to prepare. We had to build all those great installations in the stadium and around it. Close to 200,000 square meters of covered space. And everybody was happy with the organizational side. It was not only to create that site, but also logistics, transportation, accommodation, certification of our hotels, finding another space for guests to stay because we do not have so many rooms. We had 76,000 of registered participants from 197 countries. Another problem which we did not expect was attempts to boycott COP29 due to political reasons, and that was very unexpected. I don't think that any other country which hosted this event faced this kind of resistance. But we also managed to deal with that, so boycott failed. Though, as you mentioned, some countries, especially France, was doing its utmost to discredit the event. And I have information from my colleagues, presidents, that French president personally was contacting many of them saying not to go to Baku. So even that was used in order to stop leaders to come, but it failed. 80 heads of states and governments came to Baku, and that once again demonstrated that Azerbaijan is considered to be a reliable partner. With respect to what you said about the absence of the President of the European Commission, as far as I know, that was the first COP when President of the European Commission did not attend, though the participation of the President of the Commission was confirmed a couple of months before, and even at the initiative of European Commission, a special session was planned to address the issue of green cable project with the participation of the leaders of Azerbaijan, Georgia, Hungary, and Romania, those countries which are involved. Again, that event was proposed by European Commission, and we found a place to squeeze it in because it was too busy, but it was last minute cancelled of the visit, which was a surprise. I know that organizing committee of COP29 communicated with European Commission saying that COP is for 2 weeks, and there is a lot of time to come. By the way, Secretary General of the United Nations came twice, at the opening and at the closing. But again, this message was ignored by European Commission. And of course, COP29 did not suffer from that, but absence of European Commission, which is a party to COP, of course, raises a lot of questions. But nevertheless, from point of view of organizational side, it was a success story, definitely. I already said once that we had only 10 complaints, which have been addressed immediately. So now, with respect to the results, many people call it, and I join that, Baku breakthrough, because for almost 10 years, the parties could not agree on carbon market. And the first days of COP already started with a success, and the agreement on carbon market, Article 6 of Paris Agreement, was achieved. And that was really a great success, and everybody was happy about that. So what couldn't have been agreed for 10 years was agreed in Baku. And of course, the financing, because the main topic of COP was finance. So I know that there have been a lot of expectations that $1 trillion would be allocated, but that was absolutely unrealistic. So what was achieved, that we tripled the financing for coming years, because before COP29, the latest agreed figure was $100 billion US. So here in Baku, we made it $300 billion. So when someone says that it was a failure, it's not fair. It was a real success, and also a legacy which will be used for the future. There have been a lot of other important initiatives. Total initiatives of Azerbaijan were 14. Don't want to mention all of them, but that demonstrates that we treated this issue very seriously. And of course, another legacy, which I'm sure will remain at the future COPs, is the creation of Troika between the current, previous, and the future host country. So that's how it was organized. And this creates a synergy, because We built our success on a success in UAE, on a success of COP28 UAE consensus, and we used the experience. So this year COP in Brazil will definitely build its, I hope, success story on UAE and Azerbaijan's success. So, and of course, our green agenda, which is another topic, absolutely fits in the global green agenda and green transition. We did, I think, a lot already, and many more projects to be implemented in the near future. So I would once again call it a very big success, and also important factor for us, it was a country presentation. Never in our region something similar was held. Never so many guests gathered in one place in our region. So it was a country presentation, and all those whom I met said, many of them, I mean those who visit us for the first time, that they were impressed with what they've seen. Because lack of information about Azerbaijan and also deliberate misinformation about the country actually influence the minds of many people. So when they come to Azerbaijan, when they see vibrant society, when they see educated people, trained personnel, when they see the beauty of the city and the total comfort of the society, of course it impresses. So we had different targets, and all of them been met. So another success of Azerbaijan.
Mr. President, Azerbaijan has increased its gas exports to many countries in Europe, Italy, Greece, Hungary, Turkey. Could you tell us about your vision for Azerbaijan in helping to secure energy resources for Europe in the future?
Yes, our gas export is growing, and we are now expanding the geography of gas supplies using different infrastructure projects. Main is Southern Gas Corridor, but also extensions. And due to the new interconnectors which have been inaugurated relatively recently in Europe, our access to different markets is possible. 2022, as you know, when Russian-Ukrainian war led to disruption of Russian gas supplies to Europe, European Commission turned to Azerbaijan asking us to help. And at that time, the President of European Commission came to Baku, here. Exactly, we were just signing that declaration just outside this room. So we said, okay, we are ready to help you and to increase, to double our gas supply to Europe. At that time, our gas supply to Europe was 7 billion cubic meters. And we started to work on that. We started to invest and to look for opportunities how to move our gas through different interconnectors. And since that time, the number of countries in Europe which are now recipients of our gas grew, and now it's equal to 10. So in total, it's 12 countries. 10 of them are European, and 8 out of 10 are members of EU. So we expanded the geography and we increased the volume of gas. And for many countries, members of European Union, Azerbaijani gas now makes about half of their domestic consumption. And this is really a serious support which we demonstrate to our partners in Europe. So our future plans are to expand the geography. We already are in negotiations with some other European countries which are close to those which are already receiving our gas. And that is possible, I think, in the coming years. But again, since 2022 until now, it was a dramatic change. Because at that time, our gas export was Georgia, Turkey, Greece, Italy. That was it. And then we added Bulgaria, Romania, Serbia, Northern Macedonia, Slovakia, Croatia, and Hungary. So all that happened in a relatively short period of time. So we have resources because our proven resources are growing. Many years ago, they have been estimated at a level of 2.6 trillion cubic meters. But now with new discoveries and more discoveries to come, it will be more. This year, we hope we will get first gas from ACG, so-called deep gas project, which will be a substantial contribution to overall gas production. And we are planning to work with the partners in order to increase gas production from Absheron field from 1.5 to 5 BCM, understanding that the main supply of gas still is Shah Deniz, which will remain as it is. And many more projects which are very promising, like Karabakh, Babek, Asiman, and others. So that will increase our potential. So now the main issue is how to get to new destinations. For that, there should be additional investments in Europe in order to expand the existing interconnectors or maybe to build more. But even now, with the coverage of 12 countries by pipeline gas, Azerbaijan, I think, is now one of the leading countries in the world with such a broad geography. And I think in Europe also, one of the leading countries with respect to geography, because geography is as important as volumes, because for some countries, even 1 billion cubic meters makes a lot of difference. So we treat our commitments with a high level of responsibility. But of course, answering this question, I cannot avoid one issue which also must be addressed. So we invest a lot, and we try to help European Union coping with shortage of gas. At the same time, we are facing the situation when European banks no longer are financing the fossil fuel projects. So on one hand, they ask us for additional supply. On the other hand, they deprive us from resources. For instance, European Investment Bank completely stopped financing fossil fuel projects. EBRD, as far as I know, has a very small share still. So if this continues, then there'll be just no means to invest, because in this business you use your corporate financing for about 30%, but the rest money you borrow. So we are going to borrow the money, or Europeans who want to build interconnectors between themselves. So this is an issue, I think, which should be addressed. And the second, not the second, but another issue is the timetable for supplies. Because with the green transition, the share of fossil fuel in European Union area will go down. So what will happen? So there are a lot of open issues. We are dealing with that in regular consultations with European officials. But if European Union needs more gas from us, they should also do their homework. We are doing ours, they should do theirs.
Mr. President, may I ask just one more question in English? Thank you. You've spoken about the value of countries minding their own business. We've also seen some indications of what a future Trump administration might do in terms of foreign policy. Do you think this means that globalization, as we've understood it to this point, has had its day?
I think even before that, if you notice, last several years, we don't hear a lot about globalization. It was a kind of a trend, maybe 10, 15 years ago, but it didn't work because many countries were opposing it, and for many countries, it was not clear what does it mean. Globalization mean more trade, or globalization mean a unification of all into one substance, if I may use this word. So we've been always against it, and we've been very vocal, even during the times when globalization was considered by the main trend of Western politics. But even before President Trump was elected, this issue more or less is not on top of the agenda, but I'm sure that it will be completely eliminated because it didn't work. Many people did not even understand what it means, and it was used as a tool of penetration and establishing platforms for domination and for actually brainwashing of young generation, because the main target of globalization were young generation, because that was calculated approach in order to make them so-called people of the world, people without culture, without nationality, without national identity, without national pride. Be just a kind of a robot in the hands of those who have a remote control. So I'm sure it's done already, it's finished.